This is Troy Emenecker. Sorry I missed your call. Please leave your name and number. Thanks. Bye-bye.
So, hey everybody, a sound of klaxon. I don't know what a klaxon is, but this is our double-digit episode. We are in episode number 10. I'm a little concerned about episode 10. We have a lot to do today, but there could be fisticuffs on the episode because we have a Subaru owner with us on the podcast. And so our legal counsel suggested that we find somebody somewhere that owns a Subaru that we can have on and maybe make nice. Number one, so Subaru will leave us alone, but also that we don't have the average Subaru driver suing us. So because of that, we have Troy Emenecker on the podcast, everybody. This is very exciting.
Morning.
Alex is our host. I don't know why I started. Well, I wanted to get that disclaimer out there that it's number 10 and this could be a first verbal fight that we have. So how are you, Alex?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm very well rested because I did not have a full week of school at all. I only had one full day of school this whole week because of Martin Luther King Day. So we had Monday off for Martin Luther King Day. Tuesday, we left early because of threat of a snowstorm. Wednesday, we had off because of said snowstorm. And then Thursday, we had a 2-hour delay because the roads still weren't great. And then Friday was our only normal day. So I feel a little lost as to what day it is, but here I am.
So Troy, you're a teacher as well. Any snow days down in the Phoenix multiplex? No, what do you guys call it? The Phoenix what?
The Phoenix metropolitan area. How about that?
Okay.
Metropolitan area. Although no snow day. Gosh, let's see. Well, I did have to cover the lantanas out front and then back a few times. We did get down to the mid 30s, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's you want to cover those vines, Trent, so that, we're only a year in. They're not quite rooted enough, so better safe than sorry. How about that? No snow days, unfortunately. Although, as you know, speaking of Monday, not that many days ago, I was getting onto a plane in beautiful, lovely Rockford, Illinois. And it was, I think at the time, I don't know, I did a screenshot. It was either 0 or -1 or 2 or something. Me being the ignorant Arizona person I am, we were getting out of the car, your father and I, to get something to eat. I don't remember the name of the place. It'll come to me later. And I said, I know this is going to sound like a dumb question, but I have to. Should I leave my backpack in your car while we eat? Because my computer's in there. Is it going to be okay? And I set it up by saying, I deserve whatever answer you give me. He was, gracious enough. He said, I think it'll be okay. I said, all right, good. So, yeah.
Fry the hard drive. So it's interesting. We all live, how do I say this, in the southern United States. Mm-hmm. So my weather history this week, every day I got up and walked for an hour and I wore this hat and this sweatshirt, which is atypical, a hat and a sweatshirt, which is atypical. But most days it was between 45 and 48 degrees, which is freezing. So our deal is you look for iguanas that have fallen out of the trees because they go into hibernation mode and they sleep in trees. So I'll be on my 5 a.m. walk in the dark and there's iguanas laying on my bike path in my way. So anyway, we're all in the South, but really Alex is the only one who's in the South.
Yes.
Phoenix, Southwest, it could be anywhere. It just happens to be in the Southwest. We live in South Florida. It could be anywhere. It's just New York and New Jersey, but down here. That's what South Florida is. But Alex, you are in the South. And when you encounter weather, it is quite unique. You guys aren't used to that. Troy, you grew up in Milwaukee, right?
No, actually, I've lived in Arizona other than the 1-year study abroad in Missouri.
Abroad.
I've lived gap year. I don't know. Is that better? You know what? I got lucky because I think if you read The Room during parent night 2 weeks into the school year, you throw out that line and it's kind of is it going to land? And it landed. So I'm just going to stick with it. No, other than that, no, my brother, let's see, my folks moved out to Arizona. My brother was, I think, less than a year old.
Oh, man, I
So,
thought, okay.
yeah.
So anytime you came back, it was from Arizona.
Yeah. And, you know, this past week, that was, gosh, I think that was the first time I had been back to, well, we'll say that Midwest area, Illinois, Wisconsin, I suppose Minnesota, during the winter, like even for a visit, ever.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it was always, I mean, you know my parents wouldn't want to go back and visit during the winter, especially my dad, but I think that was the first time. So Trent, of course, that's why I had to bundle up and go out running in -17 weather, you know, and it was just, well, there I did it. So anyway,
Yeah.
but
Alex, you know, I run. Troy is a runner. There's
a
distinct
difference.
Yeah, he is like 7, 8 miles. Tell us about your, you got a half coming up?
Yeah, in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, actually. And so, of course, this time of year, it's perfect weather. I mean, you can't, you know, it's predictable. Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to think that the long run I did last weekend, much like if you're running, well, I would imagine if you're running in the South, especially if it's during the summer with the humidity, it's like, I don't need to run as far because you're working just as hard.
One thing we didn't do, Troy, do you have your phone nearby?
Oh,
phone calls.
This is our thing. How many phone calls are on your phone? Give us the average
in the
day
last week.
and the average week.
How many that I made?
Anything
Well,
received.
Because I get junk spam calls. I don't want to.
Yeah, so legitimate.
How many calls that I made during the past week? Let's see. Well, it's a little higher because I had to call and then confirm a dentist appointment. So I suppose that's unique. I would say between then, maybe 7. Maybe
Really?
Two of them were FaceTime calls. Actually, Trent, while I was at your dad's, my dad accidentally FaceTime called, I think.
I bet that was fun.
While he was in the produce section at the grocery store where he works. He was more surprised than we were. Yeah. So that was that. It looks like that. Yes. I think so. That would make it 7, including a couple calls to and from the dentist. But those are
okay. Are you phonophobic?
I am not. But I mean, I usually will answer, but I'll communicate via text. You know, I'm flexible.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, you know this. This is why we do this. So
Yeah.
I've had 7 calls since Sunday. Alex, how was your week?
Oh, I didn't check, but it's probably a lot. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23.
Wow.
Also had a dentist in there.
Well, let's get the Subaru thing out of the way. So this is a review from a few weeks ago. Troy, you're a Subaru owner. Tell us your experience in a very positive light. Again, the legal counsel has asked me, give me all the positives, all the benefits of Subaru ownership.
All the positives and benefits of Subaru ownership. The all-wheel drive option is nice. You know, it's there. You have to have it. So when you need it, then even if you're oblivious to the benefits of all-wheel drive, it's there. Let's see. It's a very safe vehicle. It's funny listening to that. We're going through a unit in my class involving propaganda. And so my students looked up commercials and we're talking about what it is, helpful, harmful, etc. And I'm not exaggerating. I can send you the link later. We watched a Subaru commercial and the tagline at the end, love is what makes a Subaru a Subaru. So the kids watched it and a few of them roll their eyes. And I'm like, well, there you have it. In case you were wondering, whenever you're going to find love, just go down the 202 highway about 15 minutes from school. And there it is. They're waiting for you. 6-year, finance plans are available. But I don't know. We liked the vehicle. We do obviously some exploring, like you mentioned, utilizing an Outback for what it is. I think at the time, Clara might have been 3. So size-wise, it's big enough. Our other vehicle's a CRV. So it's like, and like what I think you mentioned, Kristen likes sitting up a little bit higher in that. So she drives that to work. But
you have very safe vehicles. I mean, the only thing I can think, you'd maybe go to a Volvo as your next car. You are within that genre. Well,
let me tell you, she would, the next vehicle, whenever that would be, she would love to move up to a Volvo.
See,
she knows the numbers of the models. I don't know anything of when she says a 60 or a 90 or anything. I don't know what that means. I just know that you're right. It's as they like to say, next level. So yes.
All right. But, and we didn't have you on, or you're a guest this week, but we talked about Mr. Euchre last week, and you are a Milwaukee fan like I am. So any words?
Well, I know being at your dad's, we watched a couple of videos just to kind of catch up and such. Obviously, from afar, I didn't grow up listening. I was aware of him. I don't remember the first time I watched Major League, so that's a move in. I do remember, as I told your dad, when NBC would have broadcasts of the playoffs, the World Series, for example, and he would be on, I think, with Bob Costas and maybe somebody like Harold Reynolds, one of those types, or Joe Morgan, one of those types.
Joe Morgan, that's right.
Yeah, and so, that was an introduction as well. But it's one of those kind of backlog. You kind of get to know them, research them a little bit more, see some appearances like on Johnny Carson and such. But one point the video made is when the game stinks, you gotta keep talking. You got to keep talking and keep talking. We have the guy that, Bob Brenly.
Yep.
So he's our color commentator.
He was in Arizona and then with Chicago.
Yeah, he's the same way. He's got a million stories. And so that is like, that just kind of speaks as far as, just keeping the game, just going at an easy pace. And so yeah, he's classic. I didn't grow up listening to him personally like you all did, but I've heard enough of him to, absolutely understand it. And it's very much a regional thing. Like, some of Kristen's family members growing up listening to, hearing like, Joe Buck and
Vince Scully.
And, exactly, Vince Scully. And so, yeah.
They would say Vince Scully's the greatest. I would say Bob Uecker's the greatest because I spent 50 years listening to him and they spent 50 years listening to Vince Scully. They are the greatest in their region.
Well,
there are some that just rise to a certain level. They sure.
Yeah, and it's similar to, the Bucks announcer you listened to for all those years, and the Suns announcer Al McCoy all these years just passed away. Yeah, you grow up, and that's what you know.
Yeah, it's kind of been ruined, man. We turned into a sports podcast. It's been a little bit ruined because every game, I have the MLB app, and I hear every announcer, especially guys who are in Milwaukee and have gone to Pittsburgh or Atlanta or Minnesota. I'll tune into that game. But it used to be you only heard one voice. I mean, you had one guy you listened to unless you traveled a lot. So it's a little different. The regionalness has kind of disappeared, but I think it still holds a little bit true. So he will be missed. And the reels that are popping up are awesome. I didn't know. I'm just now seeing some of the things that he did on Johnny Carson on reels, and they are hilarious. So if you like that sort of thing, look him up. He's got some great bits that he made Mel Brooks spit water out. He did something that was so funny that's worth watching. So, all right, the sports podcast is over. Alex, let's do a little teacher talk, shall we?
Sorry, I did want to jump in one thing real quick, and I know the shirt, and obviously it was this. I do have a Hank Aaron shirt. Alex, I thought about this momentarily. I do have, because it is a college basketball Saturday, I do have a shirt. A family member purchased it for me when we were living in Missouri because they're big KU fans, of course. And we did watch the Georgia game last weekend. We did see your husband on the bench, by the way. A couple fist pumps, I think. But anyway, and Trent, I have a shirt that says Danny and the Miracles, which I think it's a KU shirt with Danny Manning.
Oh, yeah, 85. 85, because that was 88.
Yeah, and I had a moment, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't wear it. I know there's a Georgia presence on this. I'm not a diehard KU fan. I just thought I would get into the college basketball. ASU's not really a college basketball presence, but I didn't want to be left out. But nevertheless, I think I chose the right one.
Yeah, Romania, it's classic. All right, lead on, Alex.
So So, Troy, we know you listen to sorry, I feel like I should call you Cousin Troy, but that sounds very upper class. So I'll just go with Troy if that's okay.
That's what they do in the South. Cousin Troy.
Cousin Troy. They're rubbing off on me down here. But I know you listen to all of our episodes and you sent Dad an extensive list of notes and your thoughts. And you had a specific topic you wanted to talk about. And I'm very excited about this. What did we call it? English faux pas? Is that, or grammatical errors?
We could do that. Gosh, I was trying to think. I mean, you all had, I think the first episode I listened to was the uranium one. Uranium. That was a great title. And I'm thinking, what's a good title? Maybe for all intensive purposes. Or sometimes I hear Pacifically, so I don't know. One of those types, I don't know. Not everybody gets an apostrophe, like not everybody gets an award. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Faux pas, that works, I suppose, if that hits all the...
You're an English teacher, correct?
Yes, okay. I have eighth grade students, pretty much been 7th and 8th grade. I've taught 9th grade a couple years, but primarily 8th grade. Yeah.
Okay. What are the pet peeves that you see with your students right now? I was actually grading papers yesterday, and one sweet little kid put an apostrophe anytime there was a plural word. And just because if there's an S at the end, I'm just going to throw it up there just in case it's supposed to be there. So we have a lot of work to do, but I'm curious what you see pop up all the time.
Boy, yeah, I would say that it's interesting. I tell my kids, and more as they're, typing, doing their work on computers. I imagine your kids at some point, whatever grade they're in, they'll issue them a computer that they take home. So, more and more stuff is being completed, turned in online and such. And so, we're using Word. And so there's spell check and all that stuff. And it's interesting. Some of them, they just don't notice it. It's like it's blue underline or it's red. And at times we take the time to do that. And I don't know. And I tell them it's not even as reliable as you think. Like, we'll get to another faux pas involving homonyms. But anyway, and so
homonyms, the word homonyms been used on the podcast. Right.
This is what a weekend looks like down here in the South, not the South, the South. And so, and apostrophes are like that. A colleague in my department a handful of years ago mentioned the whole, we're not just throwing out apostrophes, like we're giving away TVs at an Oprah,
Like Oprah.
You get one, you, Johnny, in the back. And, and it's like, hey, I have more than one notebook. Sweet, here you go. And all that. And so it's just coming off of Christmas, that's a thing too. Trent, I'm not going to lie, and I don't know if this isn't, I don't think this is going to cause any division in the family, but your dad, next to his Keurig, has a thing, and it says Emenecker apostrophe S.
Well,
that's been there forever.
We got to get that out of there. People are going to think so.
Did you just paint over it?
Listen, I'm like, yeah, come on. I'm the emotional support system there for the better part of 3.5 days as we're bundled up in negative weather. The last thing, no, but I saw it. Of course I did. Alex, I told Trent last weekend, maybe 6 years ago, we got this nice wooden carved sign for, I guess it was a Christmas gift from one of my wife's a pharmacist. And so she went to pharmacy school in at U of A actually. And okay, fine.
Go Wildcats.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I do like the Foothills basketball sweatshirt. So well done.
It's vintage.
It is vintage, yeah. So anyway, this gal gave it to us, and then it came in the mail, wrapped up, and it's nice and everything, and it said Emenecker apostrophe S, or it said the Emenecker apostrophe S, and I don't know if it was a few weeks later, a few months later, they came to visit from out of state, and she's like, we got to put that thing out. Now, I don't know if she didn't set it out because it kind of looked sort of, I don't know, the style, whatever, but she's like, we got to put it out. And I'm like, the apostrophes really bothered me. She's like, look, you just got to deal with it, okay? We're putting it out for a few hours and then we'll hide it, okay? Fine. It's just hard to turn off. It's hard to turn off. Staff emails, Christmas cards. It's a thing.
I had to Google how to make my last name plural because it's Gonzalez and it ends with a Z. And I've always, with Emenecker, you're just able to, apostrophe, or not apostrophe S, just the S, sorry. If you're making it plural. And then, but Gonzalez, I had to Google it and really make sure I was using a credible source because I didn't I didn't know how to make it plural or possessive. It's a lot.
So for the listeners, what did you find?
I found the plural, you just add es, which is what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. And then for
If it's
possessive,
your
you just
purse or your
apostrophe
car,
s. Yeah.
apostrophe
So like
Yes.
Mrs. Gonzalez's class, like it says that outside my classroom, just apostrophe s. But yeah, on a Christmas card, it's Gonzalez's es. But one time I was telling a coworker she spelled my last name wrong, and I was like, oh, or she didn't know how to spell it. I was like, oh, it's Gonzalez with 2 Z's, because some people it ends with an S.
Yeah.
And she spelled it Gonzalez.
You're like a
with
DJ
2
then,
Z's.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
She felt so bad. I was like, no, I explained it poorly, but yeah, it's tricky.
Babar,
all those Z's.
2 B's, not together. That's a Chevy Chase reference.
That is a good one. That's a very well done. Nice job.
Okay. Are you passionate about this? Well, I think you may have answered the question. You didn't take the thing down in my dad's house. You left next to the coffee maker. It's clearly wrong, and now I'm embarrassed. Can you tell? I'm embarrassed, but it's that I haven't dealt with it. But it's clearly wrong. So, are you like actually a guy? You'll walk by someone. You're in someone's house for Bible study, and you walk by the refrigerator, and there will be where you hang all the cards, and there'll be apostrophe s, and do you stop everything and go, actually, you guys, this is the wrong. Are you an actually guy with grammar, or are you okay?
Not necessarily. One thing I inherited from my dad is, being able to read the temperature of the room. And so, and much in the same way when somebody at work will fire off the all staff email, and then I'll send it back to them individually, and I'll say, watch that, whatever. But it's kind of a known thing, just a little bit of it. I mean, I do it, I do have a life outside of it, and I can, but so I'm not that guy, but I can be that guy. But it's, you feel it out. Do I take a marker out and cross it off? Well, there's not footage to prove it, but no. But yeah, that's definitely one thing. I'm trying to think. There was another. Oh yeah, similar to the there and some of those different like homophone types that some of my kids they just because when they're typing, if it's not spelled wrong,
it doesn't catch it.
It's fine. It won't catch it. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of even and maybe Alex, if your kids, I don't know if some of your kids have phones, unfortunately. So texting, sometimes that spills over, and and I'll see occasionally the letter U, and I'm like, oh, okay. Tried to save a little.
I always would say, in a hurry, are we? You don't have time to put the Y and the O in there. We need to work on your scheduling. If you don't have time to add 2 more letters to your paper, there needs to be an intervention.
Well, I have something that I've never shared with anybody before.
Okay.
So I won't say where I was working, but back in the day I had a job, and I had a coworker who was just a very entertaining lady in her 50s. And she mixed metaphors and had what was the one you said at the beginning? For all intensive purposes.
Yes.
Like she did things like that. And so this is 2017. I have this note in my phone that has sat.
Because this person might go, oh,
wait. I don't think it's okay. She won't find this. There's no way. So I started a note in my phone of all her little sayings that she got incorrect. It was that good that I started a note. And I've never done anything with this before. And I have now I know this is the moment that this was created for.
The 10th episode with Troy as a guest is well worth breaking this out. So,
but first one she said was, she's the spinach image of her dad.
Spinach image.
Spinach image.
Oh, man.
Of her dad.
If
the next
his head was made out of spinach, this is what she would look like. Good.
In all nationality, they need to know how things really are.
Wait. So
in all nationality, it should have been rationality. In parentheses, I have rationality. Then she said another time, it's not all peachy and cream.
Okay,
instead of peaches and cream. That was not horrible. I'll give her that.
She maybe took one and made it her own.
Sure.
Instead of peaches and cream, peachy and cream.
Peachy and cream.
I'm okay.
Peachy keen. I was thinking peachy keen. Okay.
Oh, she could have mixed them.
So I think she's mixing those two.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I promise I heard this one right. But she said, "I'll hold down the fork while you're gone."
Brent, I think of that makes me think of another wise sage of our youth. Yogi Berra used to say, "If you encounter a fork in the road, take it." So yeah. So it's all about how you look at it, I guess.
Wait,
she said, "Sorry, go ahead."
Do that one again. What was it? I'll hold down the fork.
I'll hold down the fork while you're gone.
Actually, it's a very practical saying. Because if you're at
why would you ever need to hold down the fork?
If you're at a picnic in South Florida and a derecho, a straight line,
the fork's gonna fly away.
The fork could fly away if it was made of plastic.
Wow. That's good. I'm gonna add that to my note here right now. Keep going.
So she was talking about a situation that was a disaster, basically, and she said the whole thing was a fiesta. Do you get what she was trying to say?
Well, Troy does because he lives in Arizona. The whole thing's you guys have lots of fiestas out
versus
there.
A fiesta.
No, what was she trying to say?
She meant fiasco.
Yeah, fiasco.
And she said fiesta.
Tomatoes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little more common. We never conversated about it.
Oh.
She said conversated.
See,
common for her and for her because I've never heard.
No, I think I could see people saying that.
You know what? She should
instead of conversated.
Or talk.
I could see people saying that.
In 2024, it's trendy to say words like conversated, workshopped.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those.
She was ahead of her time.
Some of those, I hope so. I guess some of those trendy words in the office, and it's another thing, by the way. Anyway.
That's true. Oh yeah, no.
Okay, then she said, this is something she couldn't believe. She said, "I couldn't even phantom it." We had a situation, and she asked me to grab the born again pathogens bag instead of the blood-borne pathogens.
Well, now,
the born again pathogens bag.
Now, listen, this is at you teach at a Christian school, right?
Yes, it was in a Christian. It is in a Christian environment. It was a Christian-ish daycare environment.
So, Troy, where do you think she was going with that?
The born again. What was the rest of it? The born again.
The born again pathogens bag.
Born again pathogens bag. Okay, well,
maybe she's being theological.
I'm sure,
because
anytime
born again.
Anytime you have a chance to.
We are born again by the blood.
Oh, wow!
And it is for cleaning up things like.
That was
maybe
that was fast.
She said, she told me, I think she was trying to help me with something, and she said, "Now I'm fixing to hoover over you."
Fixing to hoover. So the fixing part, that part's common, right?
Yes, that's not the issue. It's the hoover.
The hoover part, yeah, to hoover over you.
Maybe it was a reference to Herbert Hoover, and I don't know.
Well, I suppose so.
She said she didn't want to get caught on candy camera.
Well, that's a 70s reference. I don't think people your age would get that, Alex.
I just knew it was wrong. I knew what it was supposed to be, but caught on candid camera. I don't know when people got caught on candid camera. I don't understand.
That was like a Sunday night show.
Was it a show?
At like 7 p.m. in the 70s. It was must-watch TV. It was pretty epic.
Okay, so this is the last one I have, and I do think it is the best. So she was talking about her cat. She said he was spayed or manured, or whatever it is for a male cat. Spayed or manured.
Oh, as the farmer, Trent, I'm going to have to defer to you on that one.
Yeah, she missed. She got half of it right. Well, actually, no, she didn't. She got the wrong half.
Yeah. She. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm glad I finally had a place to share that. Because
I bet she was a joy because she lived life carefree. I'm guessing she was carefree. Who cares?
She was, and she said whatever came to mind, even if it was the wrong thing. Like
I'm going to mix a metaphor, and you're going to have to deal with it.
Listen,
I may make up my own metaphor.
And I'm not looking in the mirror. Get ready. Get ready, everybody. Is this thing on? Is the mic on?
Lord's in control. I'm just going to do what I do.
It certainly is.
That's great.
Since we are all teachers, I did a little research on some of the most ridiculous rules ever imposed by academic institutions. And given how many years of experience do we all have combined? I only have like 4 years of experience, but
30.
I have 17.
Okay. Okay. So between us, I want to know if you support these, if you agree with these rules or not. So first one is no standing in circles, because some schools say they fear that it would lead to the formation of cliques or secret behavior. Yes or no?
Well, let me respond first.
Who's enforcing that?
As a student, I don't want people standing in a circle because I was never invited into the circle. My circle was me standing over in a corner, imagining superhero moves that I could use on people. So as a student, I am like, no, there should be no circling of other individuals unless you're willing to allow me to join the circle. So I amended the rule.
Okay, but if you're a teacher now,
okay,
and
as a teacher,
this is a rule at your school, and you see kids standing in a circle, are you about to break that up?
No.
Or no?
No.
You're right. Do you want to enforce it? If you really want to break it up, like you can come up next to them without saying anything, and as soon as somebody notices, say, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" Well, they'll break up real fast.
That is the easy
Is this
way.
from personal experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you have your phone out, like, "Hey, who are we texting?" That's another way too, because it's a good way to hide a phone. It's it's very low effort, but a way of enforcing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Just
all right.
Physical presence alone can break up. You can break up a circle.
You could probably break up all shapes.
Yeah.
All shapes.
Yes.
Any shape.
Yes.
Just walk up to it.
Absolutely.
Good work.
All right. Next one. No fist bumps in an effort to prevent potential physical altercations or the spread of germs. Certain schools have banned fist bumps, high fives, and other forms of physical greetings, including hugging.
Well, there was the I don't know. I would say the fist pump, well, that's safer than a handshake, I suppose, or a high five. My wife, probably if any kind of toxic chemicals or germ spreading is, fearful to the nth degree. So that's been ingrained in me in the past 14 years, but also just you don't know where some of these kids are coming from. And they're high-fiving one another. And if you see their habits in class from an academic standpoint, you can kind of assume what's happening out, So yeah, I don't know. I'll do a fist pump. I don't mind that. I think during COVID it would be the forearm kind of thing.
The elbow, yeah.
Yeah, one of those, or like that kind of thing, like Trent, the old the Bash Brothers move from the days,
Oakland A's. Yeah.
So.
Whenever there's a rule that is ridiculous anywhere, there's like a sign that's up, like, don't climb this wall. I'm like, who did something that made this sign it must have been bad, And so I'm like, what kid started a fight from a fist pump, or fist bump that made this happen? Like, oh, I was just trying to fist bump him, but really it was like he decked him. I don't know.
Like, did they miss? Was it I missed and then I hit? I just imagine.
I get the germ-based let's not fist bump. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the physical altercation one, I mean,
that's a stretch.
I can see a fourth grader using that as an excuse, saying, "Oh, I was just trying to fist bump him." What 58 miles an hour? That was what we were going to do. So when I was in high school, Troy, you're younger than me, but we would go to shake somebody's hand. And number one, you would always try and catch their hand around their fingers and squeeze.
Yep.
So you try and hurt them that way. But we went through a phase where you go, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And you go to shake their hand, then you yank it really hard down and away from their body and try and hurt them. That was a bit.
Like rip their arm out of socket?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could, if you were a bigger kid and you were the little guy, you never shook anybody's hand because you did not know. You do not want a dislocated shoulder. I hear it is very painful to put back in. So let me tell you, a middle school boy, Troy, or a middle school boy, Alex, it doesn't matter what the rules are. They are going to find a way to hurt each other. So I think you're splitting hairs trying to ban fist bumps.
Okay. Next one I have is no, and I heard about this in college. Like I heard, honestly, I think one of my professors agreed with this. No red ink for grading. Some institutions have disallowed teachers from using red ink to grade papers, believing it to be too harsh or intimidating for students.
Troy, what's your color of choice? Or is it all online now?
No. There are, if it's rough drafts now, some of the content, like they'll submit if it's a rough draft and you can annotate, or, like even my computer here has a little pen that comes out and you can do all this stuff. But no, you know what? It's the whole, like when you're giving feedback, the whole, like, what is it? The whole like sandwich thing, you compliment, then do this, whatever they need to, and then end it with that. You can do that appropriately, but red ink, come on. At some point, the truth is the truth. And
and then what if you start using blue instead? Then does blue become too aggressive and we have to go back to red?
Yeah,
because it's just the.
I don't know. The thing with using a pen to mark, I only do it on their work specifically if they're going to do something with it. Because otherwise, I'm just wasting my time. If they're not doing anything with feedback and turning in an improved version, But of course, that comes down to do I want to put in the effort or not? Which I guess that's making it sound selfish, but no, I don't think so. And honestly, the kids don't really worry about it. It's parent driven.
It's the parent. That's exactly what I was going to say. There's just too much red ink. You're being too critical. Well, okay, if you want your kid to.
This red feels a little aggressive.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. This one, no celebrating birthdays. Which I can't fathom in elementary school because we celebrate birthdays. It says to avoid excluding students who don't celebrate birthdays. Who doesn't celebrate birthdays?
Well, if they're unable, so some parents...
Like if their parents don't bring a treat in.
Yeah, or they work. Both parents work.
And don't. Okay, that makes sense. So then no one can have a birthday.
But still, so when a classmate of mine had a birthday, I didn't think, oh man, that's sad that he gets to have a birthday party and I don't. No, what I thought was, I'm going to get something out of this birthday party. Now, I would be upset if we celebrated a birthday party and Billy was the only one who got a cupcake. But if Billy's mom brought a cupcake for all 24 students, who cares? That's crazy.
Yeah, let's see, Clara, her birthday was a couple weeks ago, the 13th, and she brought in her.
What does a Subaru owner bring for treats?
Well, number one, you'll be happy to know that we walked the 2 blocks from my house to the school. So the Subaru vehicle did not at all impede upon the celebration. You know what? We had what did they bring in? Like the little nothing bunt cakes. Is that a thing?
Oh, the buntini.
Yes. And that was whatever. And that was, and so they carried him in. And again, Billy, as you mentioned, he better have, like, he's thinking, I just struck gold today. I didn't expect this to happen. And
I came in expecting a normal day, and there's cupcakes at 8 a.m.
And the teacher got one, of course, and so it was a happy day. And so if they didn't say thank you, their stomachs did. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Great. See, so that's a horrible rule.
Yeah. Next one, no running on the playground. That blows my mind. I cannot imagine enforcing that.
I hate to be super serious, but that's the problem, especially with boys. We expect them to sit all day long and not get out and play. I mean, we would play, we called it pig slaughter, where one kid had, because you didn't have time to set up a real football game. You'd spend too much time in the huddle and blah. So it was pig slaughter. The kid with the ball was, you have it to get tackled. And if you were afraid of that, you would just chuck it up in the air. Somebody else would grab it and try and run around with it. I can't, and even then I could barely sit still, and I don't have any condition, any issues. I just couldn't sit still. But that's why boys struggle. They need to go out and beat something up or tackle something or
burn that energy.
If that kid wants to run into the goalpost 5 times, let him do it. He's got to sign a waiver beforehand, but let him do it.
Yes,
absolutely.
I have a fun, quick little story from 4th grade, actually. Speaking of which, let's see, we were actually, the church we were attending, we were attending school there, and it was on the playground, and everybody was jammed in once, and somewhere we're playing football, and I catch the kickoff, and I'm running, and naturally, Trent, I want to avoid the opponents. So what do? Of course, there's a little lane in between behind where the swings are. And so I ran, and I'm running, and naturally a swing comes this way, and I look up, oh shoot, and I turn. And there wasn't a goalpost, but there was like a cinder block wall, right? Smack into it. So, we didn't, good field position. And so naturally, as a fourth grade kid, you get up and you just kind of brush yourself off and such. Not until I got back to class, because that was lunch recess, the teacher notices it starts swelling up. And I think she only noticed it because there was a little bit of a scratch, from from contact on the wall. And I don't know, whatever, it ended up, probably got a concussion. There wasn't a blue tent around to double check, but I don't even think I missed school. But again, it's like, who was going to tell me not to do that? You're out running around, you're playing. I was just fine. I don't remember anything bad after that. I think I went to the nurse. I don't know that I went home, but it was, what are you going to do, right?
It's just a hematoma.
It's
not a big deal.
Exactly. It didn't stop me from playing recess or whatever.
You probably played in aftercare. You were right back out there in aftercare playing.
All right. No best friends allowed to prevent exclusivity and hurt feelings.
I can't even discuss. Well, I didn't have any. So I probably shouldn't comment.
You're why this rule exists.
Yeah, it's for me.
Same thing, no Valentine's Day cards, because they didn't want people to, which our class you have to do it for everybody, except there's always one kid that doesn't bring one for anybody, and then he gets all the candy and cards.
It's just too deep for this podcast because it's our 10th one. This is a celebration.
Yes.
But man, how we're holding kids back by not letting them experience loss and less than.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all lessons in learning. You learn from that. Don't crush a kid, but oh my word, it's a sad commentary on how we're raising.
Okay, 2 more. This one I fully agree with. No flipping water bottles, which I think both of y'all had to. Y'all were there in the thick of that.
About it?
That makes me think of one actually years before that. So the original Pitch Perfect movie.
Oh, the cup song.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was a thing in class for a while. And again, whenever that was, I think that was before we had Clara, and I, I'm always a step behind on trends. And so I had no idea where the heck is this coming from. And then after that, but then it disappeared. But yeah, that was a thing in class for, as they say, a hot minute, Trent.
Dad, do you know what we're talking about? Where you hit the cup?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Hey,
I just want to make
It's
sure.
like, I guess it's almost like a street performance a cappella kind of little bit, right? Anyway, the water thing. Oh,
man, it's still going. I mean,
my kids still do it.
Bored kids near stairs or a table, bored kids with that much water in a water bottle it's mind-numbing.
Our school, actually, our fall festival, I think it was 2 years ago, they had, or maybe it was field day, I don't remember. They had a station that was a bottle flipping competition.
That's a great idea.
And
somebody should monetize.
It was great because they all loved it, but it kind of kicked the obsession off again. Like it was like back forefront of their minds. So, that one. This one, I'm going to tell you what was banned, and I want you to see if you can guess why, because I don't think I ever would have guessed this. But a school in the United Kingdom banned winter boots. Can you guess? And it's not the obvious, it gets slush and, snow everywhere. It's not that. They banned winter boots. Think like younger kids.
Like I just had a thought of if there are like legit boots where kids are stomping on each other's feet. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll take a stab. I only thought it would be, as a first grade teacher, I would want to ban winter boots and winter gear. So I used to be in charge of recess. And if recess was at 11:20, the teachers would have to start preparing the children for recess at about 11 for 11:20, because the teacher has to go down the line and gird every child because they can't do it for themselves. So maybe to save time.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Those are all what I thought.
But we're wrong, clearly. So straighten us out, Alex.
The kids were hiding candy in them. They were like using them to hide. So that's why this school had to ban them, because they were hiding candy.
So there was
contraband.
Sting.
That was not what I thought. I read no winter boots, and I thought all the reasons you thought, And then, because I worked at that school and had to help pre-Kers get ready for recess, and then they come in soaking wet, and you got to make sure Wyatt's gloves don't go in Sutton's bag, and like make sure everybody's stuff ended up, and it's all soaking wet. But
so some kid
candy.
was running a candy ring
Just
out
imagine,
of
I'm imagining how it was discovered. Do you zip the side down and it just goes like
I guess so. I mean,
on the inside liner, like the guy with the trench coat with like the fake jewelry. I mean,
some kids out at recess going, he's opening up.
Do you want to buy some candy out of my booth?
Like, it's the elastic strap that holds in like the Pop Rocks and yep. I mean,
I just hope it wasn't chocolate, because that would have gotten maybe a little warm and messy, and I hope they weren't sharing this candy.
You know what snow boots smell like after it says, who would want to eat candy out of a snow boot that had for a couple months? Man, poor unfortunate kids. That was splendid. I'm looking at the old clock on the wall. I actually don't have a clock on the wall. I'm using a saying. What would that lady have said? I'm looking at the clock on, I don't know.
She would say it one way or another, and we wouldn't agree, and then she would say, irregardless, which, by the way, is not a word. It's not a word. Okay? It is not a word. But it sounds like a word. Like my brother in Sunday school, when we would teach the kids back in the day, and he would have them look up verses, and he would throw out, all right, Hezekiah 4:38. And it sounds very much like, and they're looking and looking and looking, and it sounds like it would fit towards the back of the Old Testament near, like, wherever, right? And like Zechariah or something, they're looking and looking and looking. So, it sounds legitimate, but it's not a word. Okay.
Not a real word.
No.
So what is the correct, let's give our audience, Podcast Nation, some help. What should you say instead of irregardless? Isn't it just regardless?
Regardless.
Or okay.
Yes.
Forget the ear. Okay.
It's just regardless. Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, and it's tough too. We mentioned too, because even for a while, Clara would for a while, and maybe you see this with some of your students if they're still learning to pronounce basic words. And for a while, she still said animal. She would say aminal. And I would look up, and Kristen would shoot me a dagger saying that essentially said, "Don't you dare correct that.
Leave it alone."
It's
because it's too cute.
Bubble wrapping her daughter.
Yeah, well, and it's cute. We've had all of them each of them had a word or two. Every once in a while, Natalie and I.
Yes.
Blanklet. I couldn't say blanket. It was blanklet.
Yes.
Now
we let them do it because it was cute.
And she still says suspifically.
Oh,
it's phenomenal. And so I even say suspifically. So, I've had to reconcile, the professional with the personal. And you know what? I'm growing. I'm evolving. So, yeah.
Good for you.
It's a good thing.
Well, I don't want to overstate, or do I want to understate? I don't know. I get those two mixed up. How wonderful this podcast was.
Yes.
To overstate it. Yeah, I can't overstate it enough.
There we go.
I can't. I would like to overstate it, but I can't even find the words as to how wonderful this podcast was. So, Troy, thank you so much for joining us. Alex, you're a lovely host. I really mean it. 10th podcast, that 10th episode. So, podcast world, thanks so much for joining us. For hanging in there. We're still looking for that elusive sponsor, but I've sent out an olive branch to Subaru based on today's podcast. So we'll just wait. I'm sure they'll be very soon. Their algorithms is going to grab this podcast, and I think things are going to start happening. So, but thanks so much, Troy, for taking the time out of your Saturday post run. I hope you didn't cramp up while you were sitting there. Should be okay though, huh?
I think we'll be okay. Yeah, I got the foam roll. I'll be good.
Good. And Alex, go Dogs. It's going to be a big one today against Florida. You all will know what have happened already, but for us, we're waiting for the Florida-Georgia game. And for me, I'm going to, I have to go change an outlet, I think, in our kitchen. I think one of our, not an outlet, but the light switch went bad. So if the whole national power grid goes down, you'll know why. It was me. I messed it up. So Home Depot first, then I'm going to switch that out. I may have an update. Or you'll just know all my fingers are black because I fried myself. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. So please don't call me podcasts. We love you all for listening. Troy, thank you so much. This really was a pleasure. And Alex, have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.